Good evening, everyone. It's Monday night, Labor Day, and I've just returned from my Labor Day weekend travels, and I hope everyone has had a safe and pleasant end to the summer. And I would like to do what will probably be a weekly occurrence, is to do a review of what we did last week and to give you a little taste of what's coming up in the week to come. Normally I'll do this on a Sunday evening. This week, with the holiday, I'm doing it on Monday, as you can see. But I think it's just a way for me to kind of catch up with everybody and let you know how I see things are going. As I said in our introductions, this is a brand new course. And to your credit, you've jumped right in and participated with a lot of good stuff. And understand, we're building it as we go. We have a lot of things, but we want to see where things are going, how everyone is responding and reacting. You'll notice in the course structure itself, only the first 4 units have material in them. The next 4 will be building based on what happens in the first 4. So just because you only see 4 units of material, just remember this is an 8-week course. And 8 units will be filled, done, and worked with as we go ahead in the whole course. Let me back up a little bit and just first thank you for your participation in the first week, and then talk a little bit about what we saw and what I was hoping everyone would get out of it. The big item, of course, was the discussion board, and as I've explained, that's where a lot of our learning and a lot of our activity is going to take place. And so it's very important that you participate, and everyone jumped in and did a great job, and I really appreciate that. And as you can see, and as I put in my written announcement, a lot of different definitions of quality, a lot of varied items were mentioned, but a lot of common threads too. And I think you'll begin to see, as we now get into more of the ideas of what Baldrige is all about, what different quality systems are all about, you'll see how some of these other ideas come into play. For instance, in the first week, a lot of us mentioned things centering around product quality or end user quality, but not that much so far on process quality. And that's a very important aspect of the whole quality concept. The other thing I wanted people to get was a little bit of the history of quality movements. As you can see, it goes all the way back into the Middle Ages when the craft guilds were developed in Europe. And these were craftsmen who were proud of their work, wanted to protect their work, and also, let's be honest, wanted to get the best price for their work. And that's where it all started. And we've come a long way since then. And the little history lesson we had in last week's learning skipped quite a bit. It skipped right up into the 20th, the post-World War II period. And an appreciation for what went on then. A lot of us do have it because we lived through it. In a lot of the systems that we're working with now are a result of things that were happening in the late 70s and early 80s. A lot of it came out of the automobile industry. I came from a very major supplier to the auto industry, and let me tell you, in the early 80s, the American auto industry was struggling. And particularly the Japanese and European car companies were eating our lunch. And what was apparent with a lot of buyers was they didn't want to buy an American car. Why? Because they thought it was junk. And in truth, compared to some of the things coming out of Japan and Germany, American cars were junk. And what was known as the Big Three then, now we might maybe call them the Detroit Three, but Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors had to respond. And a lot of the systems we'll be talking about and that you saw mentioned in the reading last week and will be mentioned again in the reading this week came out of the automobile industry, and it was a matter of survival and a matter of turning things around that these systems started to be put into place. So I've lived through an alphabet soup of quality programs, and when I say alphabet soup, I'm talking about things that maybe you haven't heard of yet, but we will by the end of the course. You know, SPC, SQC, TQM, quality circles, ISO, you name it, I've been through it, and they all had their merits. Six Sigma is still one you'll hear about a lot today. They all have their merits and they all have their place, but how do they fit together to form a real quality system? And as I said in my written, not lecture, presentation this week, to me, quality is a mindset. It has to do with process, it has to do with attitude, it has to do with the strategic principles. And that's really where the Baldrige principles come in. So this week we're going to be moving ahead and looking at the Baldrige principles, what they are, and a little bit about where they came from and what they mean. And then I'm going to ask you to contrast that, or perhaps compare it in a complementary way, with one of the other gurus of quality back in the 1950s, Dr. W. Edwards Deming, and Deming's 14 Points of Quality. And Deming, ironically, the highest award you can win in the Japanese industry for quality is the Deming Award, because the Japanese, in their effort to recover from the shattering of their economy that World War II caused, embraced the concepts of Deming long before the American industries did. So it's kind of ironic that a highest award in Japan is named for an American. And as you read some of the things about Deming, I think you'll find that very interesting. And then this week, there will be obviously the discussion board, but there's going to be that first graded exercise beyond the discussion board, and you'll see there's an assignment in your unit to create a written essay, a written piece comparing the Baldrige and the Deming points to see, give yourself a chance to really do some real critical thinking about it. So that's it for tonight. Very much pleased with what I saw, very happy at your participation. This is a work in progress. It is, as many quality systems ask for, a process of, we hope, continuous improvement, and we're going to do our best to make this the best course we can for you, and lead you through some interesting things. Okay, so thank you, and look for further updates as the week goes on.